And hello to you all. Welcome in. The Eric Zane Show podcast is happening right now from the posh, luxurious Impact Power Sports Studios. Hello, hello, hello. We meet once again. A radio show today. I mean, it started off, I thought everything was fantastic. But something happened. Now, this is not an easy problem, and that's usually the first thing that I focus on whenever there's something going haywire. What have I done? So right away, I'm looking around at my makeshift setup here, and I'm like, and there's about 1,000,001 things that could be pressed or unplugged or plugged in. That could be disastrous. It all looks okay. So then I go, all right, I got to wake up JJ. And this guy is something else. He's very, very talented. He can figure anything out. And not only, he's like a triple threat. He can do all the technical stuff, and he can dance, and he can perform on the air. So those are the three things you need. And I'm like, what are you doing here? I mean, this is small market radio, the smallest of small market radio. This guy, I think, if he wanted to, he could go anywhere. He's that good. It's not often that you have someone who actually can have the skills to do an on-air thing, but also all of the behind-the-scenes skills, like pseudo-engineer, like my man Dave Grant here, who set me up in the studio. And he's on call all the damn time. I don't know where to put this. This huge-ass cup. So he gets calls all the time from me at an ungodly hour. So I sit down here and I'm like, all right, this shit's fucked up. What do I do? I'll just call JJ. I call him up. Buddy, I'm not getting any sound. Because I should be able to hear the radio station, like what the music they're playing on Q100. And I hear nothing. Like, for example, right now. Oh, no, you can't hear it now. There you go. I don't know what that is. I can't hear it. I don't hear anything. I'm like, oh, that's the problem. He goes, yeah, we lost power. I go, wow. He goes, let me try to fix it. So he logs onto his computer, and I'm sitting here waiting to start my little duties to get my little rock and roll radio show up and running. He goes, yeah, I got to go into the station. I go, what? He's got to get in his car and drive all the way to the radio station and, like, hit a button. I'm like, oh, my God. So that was his morning. And this is like 3-4 days out of the week. He has to put out like a fire. I'm like, you should be making like $100,000 minimum. Now the bosses there, that would be JC and Cheryl. They don't want to pay $100,000, but I'm like, you better. This guy is good. He can get shit done. Ryan says, your mic seems hot, big fraud. How's that? All right, I brought it down a little bit. Hopefully that'll suffice. My apologies if it was all crispy and burnt and distorted and dumb. Sometimes I have the wrong thing turned and I don't know. Hell breaks loose. Today is Dear Meathead Day. We need questions. If you have a question for Dad on Dear Meathead, Send it along, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. Looking forward to that for another edition of Dear Meathead. I called him up last night. Hello! And he always sounds so bright and cheery, as you know. That's what you're used to. And I said, hello, handsome. And he goes, hello to you. Now, at this point, when he says hello to you, that's my cue to say, this is your son, Eric. And because I think he's to a point now that, the old subtle reminder here and there is probably very helpful. And I cannot put myself into the place of my 90-year-old father, dementia patient dad, to try to understand what that is like. That would be very frightening to me. And that is to me and to my stepmother, his lovely wife Joanne, a goal. Keep him from being frightened out of confusion. Does that make sense? Because imagine if you had some of your wits about you and you knew something was going on, but things were out of sorts and you were very confused, and then you see a face and the person is acting familiar, like they know you, and you feel like you should know them, but you can't quite wrap your brain around it. I cannot imagine. I don't mean to bring the room down, but that's kind of like we're all in this together in the process with my father, with his mortality. But my God. So I want to hear from you if you have a question for Dad on Dear Meathead. You can send it along on the Shoreliner Strifing inbox, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. That's like I had mentioned to you my sweet brother-in-law, charity scam Mike. And, occasionally he might or I might have moments where we're like, what are we going to do? Oh, my God, this is terrible. It's like, well, look, there's only one thing to do here, and that is just try to make this try to keep him as comfortable as possible. You just don't want him scared. You don't want him frightened. You want to be reassuring. It's just god-awful. And it's in the back of my mind, but it keeps slowly but surely getting bigger. Like if I'm looking into a rear view mirror, pretend this illustration. And at one point many years ago, when I was informed that my dad had dementia, like there was a little dot in the rear view mirror. And now that little dot is getting just a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger with each passing day. And it's like, God damn it. This is fucked up. Hang on, I got to drink this after all that heaviness. It happens. It's something we all have in common. It's all going to happen to us one way or another. You just hope it's way down the road. It's like that guy that was walking into that, in Oregon, the guy walking into the liquor store. We talked about that video. I played it for you. He woke up that day, and all he wanted to do at 9 a.m. was go get a bottle of hooch. As fate would have it, he opened the door and went into the liquor store at the exact perfect time, because roughly 2 to 3 seconds after that giant 3-foot concrete saw blade came loose at 8 billion RPMs off of the saw and took off at a high rate of speed, probably 300-400 miles an hour, through the parking lot and buried itself into the wall of the liquor store, the exact spot where that guy was standing. Had he been just a second and a half later to letting himself into the store, he would have been split in half like Wile E. Coyote. My God. Talk about that being such a bizarre thing. He said, he goes, yeah, I haven't been able to function throughout the day. He looked like he was kind of fucked up to begin with. Hell, if you're going to the liquor store at 9 a.m. to get a bottle of hooch, you're probably screwed up to begin with. But all in all, it It's just one of those things. I'm excited to talk to Dad, and you should be too, damn it. So send your email along, eric@ericzaneshow.com, if you have a question for Dad. If you make it a little complex, I'll water it down so that he understands. The world famous Joey Williamson is here. The man who said pro wrestling should be an Olympic sport is here. And he says, "Hi, Eric. How's your new gig going?" It's going flawlessly. How have you not listened to the Insane Asylum on Q100 Michigan mornings yet? Come on. Download the app. Have at it. All right. Trump was in town just yesterday. This is really screwed up because what people like Trump and the campaigns are doing is they are running with anything they can to further the idea that a top priority should be of any candidate or a person running the country to do whatever it is that they plan on doing at the border. That's like the number one thing that is being stressed to try to win the election. Remember all the build the wall bullshit that went on and on and on during the last one and all that nonsense? Well, that's a big deal when it comes to getting elected. Now, so what they do, people like Trump, whenever there's an incident like what happened a couple of weeks ago here in Grand Rapids where an undocumented immigrant shot and killed his girlfriend, they then jump on that as, all right, let's go to Grand Rapids and we'll further this talking point and use this death as a political football, and we try to get elected. That's how we do it. Last year, there was 38 murders in Grand Rapids. That's actually a lot. The national average per 100,000, I believe, in the United States is about 3.5, and Grand Rapids is about 7 murders per 100,000 people. Of those 38, I have no idea last year how many were by undocumented immigrants. There's probably a litany of reasons and of why they happened, and a number of circumstances, but I can be reasonably positive that very little or zero of those murders were committed by undocumented immigrants. Yes, because of the number of undocumented immigrants in this country, there will be times when circumstances take place and horrible things happen. Is that a priority, though, to make it so? Does that make it like the front burner? Only thing you need to worry about is the border? I can't get behind that. I don't have an answer, but holy shit. I saw one meme that said, I'm not so much concerned about the people crossing the border, considering the amount of assholes we have here. And it's an image of the Capitol being overrun by all those pieces of shit on January 6th, 2020. Was that 2020? Or 2021? I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. All right. So Trump shows up here. He's at a podium that says, "Stop Biden's border bloodbath." Oh, my God. And he starts referencing the death of the young lady that was killed here. And then he says that he talked to the family before his speech, that he spoke with them. But he did not. He's full of shit. And I don't even know why he needed to even say that. He doesn't, if he didn't meet with them, that doesn't really change anything. It's still your same message, as crazy as it sounds. why did you have to add that you met with this family? That is easily denied by the family, and that's exactly what they did. So Ken Kolker, who's just amazing over at Channel 8, even though the family had said, we don't want to talk to anybody, they reached out immediately when Ken Kolker said, hey, can we talk about this one thing about Trump saying he talked to you? They were like, fuck no, yes, he didn't. Bring a camera over. We'll tell you all about it. He didn't say shit to us. So let's get into this story. By the way, all these law enforcement people behind Trump, these are from all those counties that it's, full of idiot cops who are stupid and, these constitutional county pieces of shit. That's who these assholes are.
And community are left grieving for this incredible young woman, remembering what they called her. They said she had just this most contagious laughter, and when she walked into a room, she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family.
One of the talking points of President Trump's speech was the deadly shooting of Ruby Garcia.
Brandon Ortiz Vite admitted to killing Garcia and dumping her body along US 131 in Grand Rapids. Trump said he spoke with her family, but Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker spoke with Ruby Garcia's sister, the family spokesperson, who says that never happened. Ken, what did she have to say?
Ruby Garcia's sister says she's angry that her sister's death has become political.
It's always been about illegal immigrants. Nobody really speaks about when Americans do heinous crimes.
I've heard that point made before that, and she's right. There's so much fucked up shit that goes on in the U.S. Not saying that one is worse or not worse than the other, but it's just weird how this is the big thing. There's plenty of problems in the U.S. when it comes to crime and violence.
Kind of shocking why he would just bring up illegals. What about Americans who do heinous crimes like this?
The sister, Mavi Garcia, spoke with the media days after the March 22nd shooting, but the family asked for privacy after that, including on the day of the funeral. But she responded immediately to a text from Target 8 after Trump's speech.
Now Ruby's loved ones and community are left grieving for this incredible young woman, remembering what they called her. They said she had just this most contagious laughter.
She says neither Trump nor anybody from his campaign has contacted her or anybody in her immediate family. She says her family is tight, and she would know if that had happened.
He did not speak with any of us, so it was kind of shocking seeing that he had said that he had spoke with us and, saying, misinforming people live TV. Shocking. I kind of stopped watching it. I only seen up to that. After I heard, a couple of misinformation that he had said, I kind of just stopped watching it.
Brandon Ortiz Vite, who was in the U.S. illegally, has confessed to killing her sister.
By the way, he looks like a bad dude.
And dumping.
There's no question he's a bad dude.
Her along US 131. While police say the two were boyfriend-girlfriend, Ruby's sister says the two were friends and that the relationship had not gotten that far. She says she knew that Ortiz Vite was in the U.S. illegally, but did not know the details.
I wish she would have stayed in Mexico. The focus should be on my sister right now, on really who she was in life. I want people to remember how she was in life, that she was a very happy person, a very generous person. She was always so happy, could light up a room.
Now, Trump did get that part right?
Yes, he did get one part right.
Ortiz.
Can you imagine if she's like, no, actually, she was a mute. She hasn't laughed ever in her life.
Vite is scheduled to appear next in court on April 9th. He's facing 5 charges, including felony murder and carjacking.
There's a program in Michigan. I don't know all the details about it, but I think in the state of Michigan that if certain people who are trying to get into the U.S. meet certain requirements, you can bring them into your home, and they pay you for it, $500 if you welcome somebody into your home. who's trying to get in. I'm like, I would like to do that, but I would only like to open it up to like drug lords, just to piss off the Republicans and say, yes, I want all drug lords or drug mules or anyone who wants to hurt white people. You can come into my house. Ryan says this could be a new revenue stream, big fraud. Megan says, I'm not complaining, but I thought law enforcement was supposed to be politically neutral. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Chris says, I don't know how these idiots think they can get away with these lies. What's interesting about that is I was looking at the Wood TV's Facebook post on this story. And that's where the morons will come out to play. And there weren't nearly as many as in because of how ridiculous this was. Trump says, I talked to the family. The sister of the deceased says, no, he did not. So it's pretty cut and dry there. So there wasn't a lot of action in the comments, but there were a few people that said, how do we know the sister is telling the truth? And people said, well, she said it. She said that he did not contact them. Yeah, how do we know she's not lying? That's the brain power that we're dealing with here, okay? I've said it many times before. It's not so much I'm worried about Trump. I'm worried about these assholes that support Trump. Those are the ones that you want to work with. Chris says Pablo Escobar's grandson is looking for a place to live. Ryan says my immigrant tenant could help with the NFK. Oh, he's crabby as shit today, by the way. Oh, my God. I guess Darla was down there, like, making a scene, and I guess he was getting pretty pissed off about that. And it's like, oh, fuck. Ryan writes, MAGA asshats really aren't any different from zombies, if you think about it. So that is a remarkable thing that has happened. I want to share something else with you that's fantastic. Joe Pellerito sent me something that's quite interesting. I don't know how old this is, but it is a Triumph the Insult comic dog bit. So I don't know where it was. Was it just an online thing? It doesn't really matter. But they were able to get a number of people to participate in a Donald Trump focus group on damage control. And the leader of the focus group brings in everyday husbands, wives, moms, and dads. And plays for them clips of Trump saying terrible things. And the bit is listening to these people spin the terrible things that he's saying, even though they're like the worst things that could possibly be said. What they don't know is it's a Trump impersonator who's doing the voice. And it sounds so much like the real Trump, you would think it was like when Trump calls my show, because that's the actual Trump that calls my show. But they have a Trump impersonator. But these people don't know that. They think it's actually Trump saying it. You follow me? So this is the focus group damage control segment with Triumph, the Insult comic dog.
The Donald Trump focus group.
I appreciate you sharing that stuff and introducing yourselves. I'm gonna jump right into it. We're gonna roll. We're gonna start out, and I want to share some leaked audio. And this is audio of Trump saying some things, and we need your candid thoughts on what to do. Right? This is not out at this point, but we need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up hitting the media. So,
Look, I need cameras in the dressing room. You know, cameras on the wall, cameras on
Talking about in the dressing room for Miss USA.
the floor, aimed up at their whatevers.
We need cameras on the floor aimed up at their whatever. I promise I won't interrupt the whole thing.
Look, I need cameras in the dressing room. You know, cameras on the wall, cameras on the floor, aimed up at their whatevers. I want the best cameras set up by the best Chinamen. Understand?
Yeah, well, that could be a violation of...
It's to make sure that they're safe.
Dave?
I mean, look, I can't be there all day. I'll just start grabbing them. Believe me, for them, not me. I'm a man. They're beautiful women. It's totally natural. You know, sometimes I'll walk in naked. So then we're all naked. I mean, if they file a complaint against me, I can file it right back at them. The Jew lawyer taught me that one.
Okay, so now he's going to go around and get the reaction.
we need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up hitting the media.
Well, this is obviously old. It's before he decided he was going to be a politician. I personally don't care. I just don't care.
See, I like him because he says all. I like him because he says all that. We love it when he says what everybody thinks and won't say. And with that personality goes those kind of comments most of the time.
What?
As a man.
Wow. I like when he says that.
Personality goes those kind of comments most of the time.
As a man, I know I've been in situations, we've been in locker rooms, it's man talk. I've done it, said it, they've done it, said it. I've been around plenty of men, professional, you name it. Every man has said something to the effects that,
that they'd like to put the camera in a teenage girl's chamber.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next one.
We'll be back with lots more of Donald Trump. Don't go away.
Larry King. So this is obviously made to sound like it was a real real interaction. But it's fake, but they don't know that.
Okay, so am I doing all right, Larry? Because I'm a little woozy. I just get back from giving blood for this paternity test.
What do they have to say?
It's for Ivanka. I'm double checking that she's really my daughter. I don't want to go my whole life and find out that she was fair game after all,
Your own birth.
It's just that she's voluptuous, successful, and, frankly, I heard she's great in bed.
And we're back in 5,
Okay.
4.
Does oral count as incest?
Fuck.
We're back with Donald Trump. We're going to be all over the board tonight.
So these people all think that's real. That Trump just said about his daughter, does oral count as incest?
Okay, so how do you feel about this one?
He's complimenting his daughter, like in his head type of thing.
Yes, it's crass because that is his own daughter. He's still a human male. As a male, I do say some things that are crude.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh. Yeah, that does not matter that is fake audio. That these people don't know that. They think that that's Trump. Holy shit. That's the type of stuff that if anybody sees those people on there, in the wild, like the real people that we just saw, oh my God. Tyler says, I was hoping that the lady would say, I like that he says things like that. Again, LOL. What is it about those people? They just have an air about them. Every single person in that room, you could just sense that there was some type of dark aura around these animals. Ryan says this proves that MAGA asshats are zombies and will never give a flying shit about anything he does. He could nuke the UK. Well, he did what he had to do. Rebecca says they are brainwashed. Let me ask you this. A lot of folks have talked about what Trump is doing could lead to something just like the Holocaust. If you could put a percentage on how true you think that is in the chat, I'm curious what you think. I would say like single digits, that ultimately this will wind up as genocide of someone, some group of people. But that's what a lot of people think. Let me back off that. How many of you think, maybe not killing people, but a dictatorship where he cannot be removed from power? He's ruling like Putin. That type of dictatorship. Kuipers, who loves Trump, says 0%. That won't happen. Chris says 0%. Cole says 0%. He loves Trump too. Rich says 10%. Chris says also 0%. I think I agree with you for the most part. Allison says 10% depends on who he appoints into power alongside him. God, we shouldn't even be able to have this conversation, though, frankly. All right. Allison isn't often here on the live chat. We say hello to her from beautiful Harbor Humane, doing the Lord's work. I'm going to take a quick break. It's potty time. Don't forget, Dear Meathead in mere moments. Send them along. Eric at ericzaneshow.com. Cal Fade, as we sit here. Patrick writes, The Rock now has Cody Rhodes' blood on his belt. If he's able to get Mama Rhodes' tears on the belt at WrestleMania this weekend, he will become unstoppable. It would take someone with supernatural abilities like The Undertaker to defeat him then. Corey says, dude, I'm pumped for WrestleMania. First time I've cared in almost 13 years. Patrick says, same, dude. Corey says Stone Cold and John Cena will show up. Kenny writes, you guys are slowly turning into Joey. Kenny is expressing disgust with you. Not that Joey's disgusting. I'm just saying he's looking at you like, oh, boy. That's saying something. A guy who beats off to Miss Pac-Man is judging you. Cole writes, Brock Lesnar will come back to beat The Rock. Molly writes, I want to see Paul and Tyson in July. I do too, because Mike Tyson is going to destroy that asshole. I've been watching video of him. His feet and hands are so fast at 57 years old, and he's got the body of a 28-year-old. Kyle writes, The Rock will turn on Roman and join Cody and Seth. Look at all these people that are weighing in on this topic. Kenny writes, wrestling is so fucking stupid. Now, I can't go that far and say it's stupid. I'm not into it. But the way wrestling can be described is theatrical as a Broadway play, as physical as anything, and just fun. That's it. People who watch wrestling, they know it's not real, but I can't agree with you when you say soap opera for inbreds. Some of the people that are the closest in my life love wrestling. So I can't really, say anything terrible about people who love wrestling. I think more interesting than the actual wrestling is the hard stance by people like Bulls on Parade, who says, I can't take people serious that take wrestling seriously. It's pathetic. It's not pathetic. It's as enjoyable as like watching a show on Netflix, frankly, except it's a long-running storyline. You're right, like a soap opera. What is wrong with that? It's just like watching any show where you're left with a cliffhanger ending. There is nothing wrong with liking wrestling. You will not get any judgment out of me when it comes to people who like wrestling or the actual, I'll tell you this. When you are at a wrestling event and you're there to people watch, and there are people there who take this so seriously, I mean, they're like weeping, or they're cheering just a little too hard, or they're a little too mad. going to a wrestling event is sensory overload. You've got the players in the ring. You've got the fans, the interaction when they're doing mic work inside of the ring and the fans contributing to what the chick or the dude is saying. There's a lot going on there. Not to mention the BO from some of these people. Maybe not you guys, but some of the people there are a little bit fucked up. There's no question. But that's a show in and of itself. Being surrounded by that. When I was living in Tennessee, I got into the ring to be a manager wrestler. It was twice. I told you about the one time when I wrestled, but this is the second time I wrestled. It was literally in a Walmart parking lot in north of Knoxville. And I'll never forget, because I was playing a heel, and the guy that was the champion, I was his manager. And the guy that was challenging was the face. And there was a moment in the match when the champ, the guy, I forgot his name, that was on my team, was supposed to hold the baby face, and I was going to hit him with the championship belt, but the guy moved. He's supposed to move, and I'm going to hit my guy with the belt. And he says to me beforehand, he says, I go, well, what about hitting you? How do I? He goes, just hit me. Just hit me as hard as you can with it. Don't worry about, because it's impossible to make it look real if you don't know what you're doing. So when I hit him with it, I hit him as hard as I could, but it was with the edge of the belt where the metal is, the edge of the metal on the front of the belt. And it hit him right on like the temple / eyebrow area, and it made a very large gash. So that was actually, he was after us. He goes, God damn it, man. You really clocked me with that on the wrong. You should have hit me with the flat side of it. I go, I know, but I hit him with the edge of it, so it kind of fucked him up. So he's bleeding, which was selling it. That worked out. But so this all happens. I'll never forget this lady wearing like a big girl camisole. She was super fluffy. And she looked like fuck. And she had one of those big sweet tart suckers in her mouth that looked like the head of a penis, big. And she had it in her mouth. And she got up on the apron and pulled that thing out of her mouth, and she's holding it by the sucker handle, and she whips it at me. She actually threw the fucking sucker at me, which would have hurt if it hit me. She goes, you son of a bitch, fuck you. She throws it at me. People are booing, throwing shit in the ring. It was fucking great, man. My God. Yeah, I was in the ring twice. There's video somewhere of me wrestling wrestling that little person. Butch Cassidy was his name. All right, so there seems to be a war now with audience members over pro wrestling. Corey writes, remember when Chris Benoit killed his family? Was that fake, Kenny? Kenny says, I have no idea who that is, Corey. Yeah, you gotta at least try. I mean, when I was a kid, I followed wrestling, and I don't really follow it now. I mean, I could give you some names, and I'm aware of the Cody Rhodes story with The Rock, and it's because you guys talk about it, and it's kind of hard to miss it, you know. But I'm not really that interested in it. I'm more interested in my pals who enjoy it. Molly says, I want to see the video easy. I will try to locate the video. It's somewhere online. And I have a tape somewhere, an actual VHS tape of it somewhere. All right, before I bring in Dad for Dear Meathead, and if you have a question, please send it along, eric@ericzaneshow.com. I'm going to kick the audience out that's on X and Facebook. Get the rest of the show on Twitch. Follow me on